Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is James Krause, and we're also joined by Nick Kalikas. Great card coming up here. We had a great card last week, and we got another good card this week. UFC Vegas 54, Jan Blachowicz, Aleksandar Rakic. Before we get into that, got to quickly mention last week. It was kind of a rough one. Namajunas really kind of took the wind out of my sails. Everyone's sails. That wasn't a very good fight, was it? So that didn't cash. And then the Chandler by decision. Michael Chandler gets his Tony Ferguson gets finished within 3 rounds. Wasn't expecting that either. Krause, you almost had it, but I know you had Dumont last week, which Macy Chasson ended up getting it done. But it's all good. You win some, you lose some. Let's talk about this week, though. Aleksandar Rakic, Jan Blachowicz, rescheduled fight. Remember, it's supposed to take place March 26th. Curtis Blades, Chris Daukaus takes that main event instead. Neck injury for Jan Blachowicz. Right now, Aleksandar Rakic is the favorite at -195. The comeback on Blachowicz, +165. Nick, just your thoughts on this fight, line movement-wise and everything. I think it's been, fairly Rakic has pretty much been the favorite, I think, the whole time.
He has been, but there has been some action coming into his way for sure, because I believe it opened closer to around maybe -150, and now it's all the way over 200 in some spots as well. So the books are receiving action on Rakic, and it is kind of some decent, sharp action coming in his way as well. So the opinion seems to be that, and I believe it's pronounced Rakic actually, so apologize for the butcher of the name there.
Oh, no worries.
But yeah, Rakic is definitely on his way up as far as with the public eye, with the betting community as well. So he is receiving the money early on.
Interesting. Krause, who are you liking in the main event?
Yeah, I had a -155 on my book about a week and a half ago, and I slammed it for a max play. I just think I've been saying this for 2 years. I think that dude is I said I think he's the next champion. And I guess I don't really mean the next champion, but like I think he's the next big thing, and I think there's 2 guys in that division. There's 2 fights that are happening right now that are very pivotal in that light heavyweight division, and this is one of them. The Blachowicz and Rakic, and then Ankalaev and Anthony Smith. And I think what we're going to see is if I had to guess how this is going to play out, I think we're going to see Rakic beat Blachowicz here on Saturday, and then the winner of Ankalaev and Smith would be next in line. I think Rakic will get the next title shot after Yuri and Glover, obviously, and then I think the winner of Ankalaev and Smith would probably get another one after that. It seems pretty clear cut, to me.
Yeah.
But I'm very big on Rakic. I think he has the ability to beat anybody in that division. He's already beat some big names, and I think he's only getting better. And he is massive. Like when he fought Anthony Smith, I think he was 237 pounds when he walked in to the cage. I heard on Fight Night. I mean, he's just he's a big dude, well proportioned, defensively sound, high fight IQ, fast, strong, big. He's got it all.
Certainly does. Nick, are you doing UFC on the line this week, or are you able to pick this fight?
There is no UFC on the line, unfortunately, this week, but it's good for us, I guess, right? So, yeah, I agree with everything that Krause just said. So I can be a little bit more open with this main event bout for sure. And I do think it's the improvements, man. And he is a physically large guy for sure. I think here's the thing. On the feet, it's going to be relatively close. You got to respect Blachowicz's power, of course, man. He's definitely got enough power to finish anybody in the division. He's proven that time and time again. But I still think Rakic wins the striking battle on the feet as well. I think he can mix things up and be a little bit more effective standing. And at the same time, he's going to mix in some takedowns, especially after the last fight. I mean, that's a question mark for me with Blachowicz. I cannot believe he performed that poor defending his belt against Glover. I'm glad Glover got the strap. He deserves it. It was a long time coming, but that was a head scratcher type of performance, man. I did not see that quit in Blachowicz coming like it was. Again, credit Glover, but that being said, there's a lot to be said there, right? As far as, is he just, collecting paydays at this point of his career? Is he as serious at this point of his career? He made it to the top of the, pedestal, so to speak, right? So after that, sometimes some of these fighters will drop off because they made it. They feel like we achieved our goal. And then after that, sometimes they do struggle. Now, I don't know if that's Blachowicz. I think he's got more in him than that, but that is a question mark for me. So that's why I like Rakic even more here, to be honest with you.
The age gap as well. Sorry, in case you haven't heard, I'm also going Rakic here to complete the hat trick. It's such an age gap here. Blachowicz is going to be close to 40. Rakic is, early 30s. So there's an age gap there. And not just that, but I think you can also look at the fact that Blachowicz hasn't really finished anyone recently. I think he relies very heavily on that Polish power. And guess what? Aleksandar Rakic has never been finished. And he has the one loss he did have in the UFC against Volkan Ozdemir. That was a fight I thought he won. So realistically, we could be talking about an undefeated guy taking on Jan Blachowicz, who's a lot older. And I'm with you. That was such a very shocking performance, if I can say so. And, was that an injury related thing? Of course he had a neck injury. Apparently he got that all fixed up. So he's going into this fight, but you add in the age, you add into the injury fact, the fact that it was Jan who pulled out of that fight and they rescheduled it. I know Rakic has got a bit of a layoff coming in here, but I like Rakic. I think he gets it done. The question is, does he finish? I know it's 5 rounds. Typically, last couple of fights especially, they have gone the distance. So maybe look at that decision prop for Rakic. I don't know if he puts away Jan Blachowicz, but I like Rakic here. I think how Krause got him at whatever, minus 155, that's a serious money there. I might look at that decision prop instead and get some better value than minus 195. But I think Rakic should win. May look him as a parlay piece as well. So that's my thoughts on the main event. Okay, co-main event. I guess just keeping with the light heavyweight theme, we've got Ion Cutelaba taking on Ryan Spann. And right now the books have Cutelaba about a 2-1 favorite, almost 3-1 favorite, minus 240. The comeback on Ryan Spann plus 195. These two guys have been really inconsistent, but I agree with the odds in terms of Cutelaba being the favorite. Nick, your thoughts on this fight?
This has been crazy, man. For me, originally, I like Cutelaba right away. I understand Spann presents a lot of problems to most people in this division with his size, with his physicality for sure. He's got power on the feet to stop people, and he's got a pretty good offensive ground game as well. But, man, his conditioning, his chin, there's a lot to not like about Spann as well, right? And the other side of it, though, Cutelaba's getting to that point where I can't really depend on him all that much either, although I do think he wins this fight. I think he probably ends up finishing Spann. If he could be defensively sound at the beginning of this fight, I think I do trust his durability a little bit more, but that is kind of a stretch as well, because I think as these guys are progressing in their careers, you can't really too much depend on either one of them to kind of have that durability you need, especially the conditioning, because they both slow down as it goes. So for me, I think it's a favorite or pass situation. But now what you're looking at is around minus 225, minus 235. I cannot lay the chalk on Cutelaba. I think now it opens up some opportunity on the dog possibly here. So for me personally, I'm probably going to stay away from this fight unless it drops drastically under 200. Then I would probably take a stab at Cutelaba. Or if it continues to escalate, if it gets close to minus 300, I have to probably take a stab at Spann. But where it stands right now, I'm staying away from this fight, man. I just don't trust either guy.
Krause, what do you think?
I got to be honest with you guys. I'm on the other side of this. I think there's been some like crazy mispriced fights lately. Last week was a great example, and there was a few fights where I don't understand like Shogun and OSP. Like OSP was like a 2 or 3-1 favorite, and I didn't see it. You know what I mean? I played Shogun by decision at like plus 600 or something like that, and then of course lose a split decision. That's how it goes sometimes. But I was on the wrong side of 3 or 4 Delima Imov. I played Delima by decision. I played Randy Brown by decision, which I got that one. I played Shogun. If you're in my Discord, you see all this stuff. But you're in it, James. You see what we're. I mean, we were just on the wrong side. It doesn't mean it's a bad bet. But
yeah, it was a great bet, to be honest with you, Shogun. I'm glad, not to cut you off, Krause, but I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people will say, hey, a losing bet's not a good bet. You know what? If you're getting that kind of value on Shogun and it's a split decision, that was the better bet to be made. The people that laid the chalk on OSP, congratulations, you won. You deserved to win. It was a close fight. You guys edged it out. But laying over 200 is not the great bet to make. The bet to make on that side, believe it or not, after the fact, was Shogun, and especially Shogun by decision. That was a great bet, despite it losing.
And I'll play that 10 times out of 10. I'll play Chandler over 1.5 rounds 10 times out of 10. Those are good bets to me. I just, you know how it is sometimes. Yeah. And I went into last week saying it was going to be a tricky week, and it was. But going back to the Spann fight, man, Cutelaba, I think Cutelaba's got 5 minutes to get him out of there. And if he doesn't, I think there could be some problems, man. And maybe Cutelaba goes out and starches him in 3.5 minute mark. But if he doesn't, I think Spann's got a great shot of winning the decision here. I really do.
Yeah, this is I'm more on Nick's side here, where I'm just kind of staying away from this one. Both guys have been extremely inconsistent. You look at the last fight that Spann had with Anthony Smith, where he just got dominated in that fight. I mean, Smith was all over him, and granted, maybe Spann wasn't at, it was a bit of a step up for him as well. He did knock out Misha Serkinov, but I mean, Misha's a middleweight now. I don't think Misha's really a mainstay in that weight class. And the Johnny Walker loss, I'll actually give him some credit. That was one of those fights that, I mean, Walker was close to getting finished in that fight. They just went at it, and you're seeing Ryan be a little bit more technical now and not so wild. I don't think he's going to try and do that here. And if he does, I mean, it's going to be a recipe for disaster, I think. But I'm kind of on the Cutelaba side, but this just screams past me. Like, I don't even know, like Krause just said, this might go the distance, like with Spann winning. I was even maybe looking at the fight doesn't go the decision prop, but you're not getting much value there. This is just a big pass for me. But if I got to pick, I'm going Cutelaba, just because I think he's got a bit more experience. Well, he does have more experience octagon-wise. I think that'll help him, but that's about it. They're both good strikers, but both very inconsistent in my opinion. Yeah. So
I mean, can you guys see a scenario where Cutelaba wins a decision?
No, I can't. No.
I think it'll be close because both these guys, it's not going to be just one-sided as far as both getting tired, but they're both going to be exhausted, I think, by the time it hits the scorecards, because Spann does slow down a little bit too, right? It's not just one of these guys slowing down. So I think we might see a split decision type of fight. But I think what we're saying out there is it's a dog or pass situation, even though we're picking Cutelaba.
Plus money, though, you know what
right?
I mean? Like, at plus money, you got to take. If we're talking about split decision, a pick 'em fight, I got to go. I mean, and I can get 2-1 odds on that. I mean, I like it, you know.
But I am with Lynch as far as I don't think this does hit the scorecards, though. I think something's going to give before it hits the cards in this bout.
You're probably right.
That's where it is. But yeah, if it does hit the cards, I could definitely see a split decision. And an interesting action note here that I didn't really mention earlier, that there is conflicting sharps on this fight, meaning that originally we got hit on the underdog and we dropped it drastically, right? So the Spann money did come in from a respected sharp group. And then in turn, when the line dropped, we got another respected sharp group that came in and bet Cutelaba. So we have two conflicting sharp groups on this side as far as the sportsbook go. So a lot of people out there as well, I'm sure, are getting two-way sharp action on this bout because, again, it's one of those that I think people will find value either way depending on the price point.
Let's get to our prop bet of the week. Shorter show today, guys, just because we're kind of doing this a bit late this week. Krause, what do you like in prop wise this week?
I'm gonna. We talked before the show started. I think you should tell both of those because I love both of those. But I'm actually going to go with Rakic Blachowicz over 3.5 rounds. I think Rakic is going, and I think Rakic is going to dominate. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think Rakic is going to lose a round in this fight. And I could see a scenario where he wins a decision or maybe even gets a late stoppage. But I think this is going to go over 3.5 rounds.
Yeah, and you're getting, I'm seeing some books close to plus money, minus 120. Yeah, that's really good odds there. Is there anything you're liking, Nick, or anything that caught your eye odds-wise? Otherwise, I'll give you my pick.
There's a two-team parlay with two fights that don't go the decision that I think is probably going to hit, and you get them about even money. So it's the Grant Smolka fight. Fight doesn't go the decision. I think there's probably going to be a finish there, but it's around minus 200. And then you also have, let me scroll down here real quick. We also have the Camacho Torres fight. I don't think that fight hits the scorecards either. So if you combine them, and that's around minus 300. So minus 300, minus 200, you're getting a close around even money out there with both of those fights not hitting the scorecards. I think there's just too much firepower on both ends. And again, the durability factor there too as well. So maybe a two-team parlay with fight does not go the distance. If I had to choose one to bet straight, I would probably lay a little bit of chalk on the Smolka. Grant does not go the decision. So that's my prop lean for the week.
I like both of those. That's awesome. Definitely going to be tailing some of those. Okay. There's 3 things certain in life, gentlemen: death, taxes, and Katlyn Chookagian winning by decision. It always happens. She never finishes her fights. And the fact that Ribas is moving up, I think Katlyn's got some height and reach in the fight as well. Say what you want about Katlyn Chookagian. I know she's not a fan favorite, but she gets it done more often than not. Great. When she's not fighting Jessica Andrade, when she's not fighting on Valentina Shevchenko. I don't really get this fight. I guess just to keep Katlyn active, Ribas active, I should say, but her moving up again. I like Katlyn here all day. She's most likely not going to finish this fight. You get her by decision. I know that bit us last week with Chandler, but I'm feeling pretty good about Katlyn not finishing this fight. You're getting it plus money. That's easy money in my opinion. I'm going Chookagian by decision in that one. One other prop I'll just mention. This won't be an official play, but Nick sort of alluded to it. I think Davey Grant knocks out Louis Smolka. Smolka's been knocked out how many times over the last couple of fights? Grant just hits like a truck. Even at his age, he's still getting it done. That's another one I'd look at. I think you're also getting close to plus money or plus money in general with Davey Grant there as well. So that's another one you might want to take a little bonus content for you here. So I think
I actually have one more.
Let's hear it.
That I forgot about. This isn't a prop though. But are we ready to go into play?
Let's go bet of the week. Krause, you lead us off. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you guys 2. My first one is I'm just gonna go Aleksandar Rakic. I played him a week and a half ago, something like that, at minus 155. Max betted on my book. I just think this guy is the next big thing. I really do. I think he's gonna get it done. I don't think he's gonna lose a round. I really don't. I think he's incredible. I think he's a tough stylistic matchup for a guy like Blachowicz. What Nick said earlier, I am just in awe of what we saw from the Glover-Blachowicz matchup. And if you get a guy like Rakic like that on top of you, big problems are coming. But I'm going to give you another one on Bellator that I actually really like a lot. And I would consider it almost a free play. So what I would do is I would take MVP and I would parlay that with the under 4.5 rounds, and you should get somewhere around plus 550 on that, because MVP is, I think, like a plus 250 dog. You should get somewhere around plus 550, I think, is what I end up getting. And then I would hedge that with Logan Storley money line, and he's sitting around minus 250 right now. So If you're working in units, I would risk 1 unit to win 5.5 units, and then I would risk 2.5 units to win 1 unit on Storley. And I feel like if MVP, I just can't see a scenario where MVP wins a decision here. You know, I think if this goes 5 rounds, I think it's going to be Logan Storley completely dominating this fight. And but I'm honestly, I'm kind of shocked at this line. I think MVP's got a great shot at catching. You know, he's just so dynamic and incredible. I think he's got a great shot at catching Logan Storley. And he damn sure does in 22.5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like this is a good way to, you're either gonna get a free bet here and you know, cancel it out if Logan Storley wins, or you could hit a 5.5 to 1, you know, prop and walk away with a little bit of profit. So I like that play a lot. I think it's either gonna wash or you're gonna walk away with a decent amount of profit.
Okay, that's interesting. I kind of feel like Logan's going to win a decision. Might be wrong here, but that's just, you know, because he's the wrestling. I think he's always that's his bread and butter.
Well,
he can always go.
And
to
if you want
right?
to take that, risk, I think that's somewhere around plus 120. So
yeah, that's true. I know it's 5 rounds.
Yeah, just 5 rounds, man. I think what you just said, MVP might finish him though along the way, right? And if he doesn't, maybe we see a back take from Logan Storley. I mean, these wrestlers, man, they're definitely.
I was playing it safe. Like I could see it. Like I could see it. You know, 19.5 minutes. Storley gets him on the ground and just beat him up and arm triangles him or something. You know, I could see that. So, but yeah, if you don't think Storley's going to finish, you can get plus money on both sides. You just run the risk of losing both bets a little bit more. I don't see a scenario where MVP. Unless you
I don't think MVP will win a decision. I'm with you there.
I just don't see it. Yeah, I think there's less than a 5% chance that happens.
I can just imagine myself watching the fight and taking the Logan Storley like inside the distance or something, and then just it keeps going on. And you're like, damn it, why didn't I play the decision prop? Because you know that's happened to a lot of us when we're betting. Nick, is there anything you like bet wise this week?
There's a few spots, but like you said, I hopped on the Rakic train early on to minus 155, minus 160 as well. So that line is long gone if it's minus 200 now. So I can't give that out really on the show. But I do have a ticket in my pocket with Rakic right now. You know what? Jandiroba over Angela Hill. I know a lot of people might not agree with this, but she's the rightful favorite here. The price probably is a little low. If you're getting her around minus 170, minus 180 that's out there, I think anything under minus 200 on Jandiroba is probably value because not just the scorecards here, because I think she can grind out a win over Hill. Hill's takedown defense and her submission defense has improved, but there's different levels to this game. If Jandiroba gets her to the ground, gets her back, it's probably a wrap. So I think she finishes this fight probably by submission on the ground because she will get Hill down to the floor. If she doesn't, I think she grinds out a decision win anyway and wins this fight. It'll be competitive, of course, if it hits the cards because that means Hill will have her moments. But I do think there's likely finish before that. So anything under 200, again, I know a lot of people are going to play Hill because she's a public dog, and Jandiroba doesn't really get a lot of respect. But I think this is a very winnable fight for her, and I would lay the chalk here.
Okay, there we go. I'm going to keep my bet of the week simple again, just because last week happened doesn't mean I'm going to, stray away from my strategy here. I like Caitlin Chukagian a lot, and I like Davy Grant a lot. You parlay them two together, you're getting close to plus money or plus money itself, depending on the book. But I just think Chukagian, like I said, light years ahead of Rebus, especially. I would usually when a fighter moves up, I tend to favor the fighter in that weight class, and that's Chukagian in this fight. And like I mentioned, she'll have the height and reach advantage. And then Davy Grant, I just think, Grant is one of those guys that, despite his age, he's still getting it done. He's still getting impressive wins. Louis Smolka, I think, is just barely holding on to his job, if I'm being honest here. Like, hasn't really looked that good. I think Grant, with his power, could go out there and finish Louis Smolka. So you could just parlay the two together, just in case for some reason it goes to the decision. But I have a feeling Grant's going to knock him out. So that's my play this week. Caitlin Chukagian parlayed with Davy Grant. Krause mentioned it there. Make sure you check out his Discord. He's doing a lot of really good content over there. Make sure you check Nick out on UFC on the Line, not this week, but obviously when that's back and everything else. We're really excited for this card this weekend. Glad you guys could join us again. Apologies for the shorter show, but we'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the fights this weekend.